We need to turn back. I think we missed our turn. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and welcome to another series of movies that is going to take forever to actually get through. Uh, because yes, we are here with Wrong Turn. This is a donation reward for Venom, so thank you as always, Venom. Um, this is the first of a series of movies that I believe has six or more. I think it's six films in it, and it's just like, why? Why do you need to have this many movies in your series? It's like, unless you're like the MCU or something, what's the point? And I know there's a lot of horror movie series and franchises that go like for this long or even longer. You obviously have Nightmare on Elm Street and whatnot, but I don't think those franchises need to do that either, honestly. Just because they're big name horror series and franchises don't mean you need to go forever like this. But but who knows? This one might warrant it a little more. The thing is, I don't know what this is about, like, at all. I don't think I've ever even heard of this series prior to it getting requested. Um, and the title Wrong Turn, that doesn't really tell me a lot. Because to me that just comes across as like, oh, the main victim characters are going to take a wrong turn somewhere and end up in a bad place. What does that tell us? That doesn't tell us what the antagonistic force is going to be. That doesn't tell us anything about the movie, really. Do you know how many movies I've seen with that plot? Oh, the victim, the teenage victims, or whatever age they end up being, take a wrong turn and end up in a different part of town or different part of the area than they're supposed to be in. And they end up coming across some crazy shit, whether it be crazy cannibals or serial killers or whatever the fuck else, monsters maybe. The point is, it's such a like overdone premise in a way. Mind you, that's just assuming what it's about based on the title. I don't even know if it's technically about that. I don't see what else it would be about with a title like that, but you never know. Um, so yeah, I don't know who's in this. I don't even know when these movies came out because, like I said, I've never even heard of them until they were requested. So I have no clue what to expect. And yeah, I'm good with that. Whew. Oh my goodness. Sorry for all the yawning. I don't know why I'm yawning so much, but yeah, I don't know at all what to expect, which can be seen very much as a good thing um, when you're doing reactions like this, because you want to be able to go in as blind as possible, and this definitely helps with that. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to get here. I'm definitely interested. I definitely want to see what they end up doing. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to get into. So I guess there's nothing else to do but watch and find out. So yeah. With all that being said, before we get this started, I do want to let you all know and remind you all that we have a lot of great content on this channel besides just this. Every Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Monday specifically, we also do YouTube or YouTube adjacent reactions. Really anything that doesn't quite fit into a full series or movie reaction. You have shorts, you have specials, you have mini series that are just too short to have a full slot. Stuff like that. those all fit into this reaction slot on Mondays. And speaking of movie reactions, we do have two of those every week, every Saturday and Sunday. We record them earlier in the week, but we upload them on the weekend just so that every day has something going on for it. We also are currently going through a couple Let's Plays on the channel. Every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we're playing through Spider-Man 2. A great game, really enjoying it. And if you're new to the Let's Play for that, I will warn you that the first 9 parts, especially parts 5 through 9, have some audio issues in them. This has been my first time doing a capture card Let's Play since I got my PS5 and everything. And so it's taken some time to get used to getting everything set properly. It's a new experience for me. So just cut me some slack on that. After part 9, everything seems to be working again just fine. Parts 10 and on are good. But yeah, 5 through 9 especially just have some issues there. I apologize for that, but there was unfortunately nothing I could really do to fix the audio at that point. That all being said, we are also playing through Anno Mutationum on Saturdays. This is a donation reward Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez. And if you want to know how to donate for a PS5 Let's Play, there's a couple videos that you can check out on the channel that would let you know. But the most relevant right now is the June Double Reward Month video. I would suggest checking that out. It also is labeled under PS5 game rewards and all. So if you just go to the channel, do a channel search for like PS5 June Double Reward Month, you should find it with pretty strong ease. Though, that all being said, we're just going to get on with this reaction and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because yes, we do redirect all of our reactions here. I know, you don't want to have to give all these extra clicks just to be able to get to the reaction. You would rather watch it on YouTube. But due to YouTube's unfortunately shitty copyright policy, that's really just not feasible. I want to remain safe and keep out any possible channel strikes, or even worse, channel termination. Because I have dealt with that before, and it is the worst. It sucks ass. I don't want to have to deal with it again. So, because of that, we just kind of push everything off onto another site. It's easy, it's simple, and on the plus side, it does mean that all of you, yes, every single one of you, gets to see the full unedited reaction for free. No paywalls, no Patreon, and you don't even have to sync up your own copy. You just go down to the link in the description below, follow it to the other site, and watch the full unedited reaction completely free. And after you do, you can come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. But not just spoilers, my general thoughts on it as well, and any other things I might have to talk about regarding the channel and everything too. So, all of that, as always, being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I was looking something up. Apparently, the cannibals, the murder hobos, whatever you want to call them, they do have names, which you could see if you looked in the credits as well. There's 3-Finger, Sawtooth, and One Eye, but on the Wikipedia, they also have, like real names listed. 3-Finger is listed as Andre, Sawtooth is Undo, and One Eye is Tudor. So, interesting, I guess. The one that survived at the end was 3-Finger, and there's no real evidence if any of the others survived, but that was, I guess that kind of leads into the sequel in some way. Um, but yeah, there are six of these movies. It looks like, actually seven because there's a 2021 reboot as well. There's the first six movies, and then there's a reboot from 2021. Okay, so that's interesting. This movie was. When did this come out again? I'll have to look that up because I could not tell based on the film itself. 2003, and it was directed by Rob Schmidt, who doesn't seem to have done anything else I know. Um, 2003. I was thinking maybe 90s when I was looking at this. Also, what the hell? I just accidentally kicked the camera stand. I was thinking maybe 90s, like mid to late 90s while watching because that's just what the kind of vibe it gave to me. But I guess yeah, this was early 2000s, so I was kind of close. But this movie, it feels very old. Like, and I don't mean that in a good way. A lot of people would say something like that and mean it in an extremely positive way. It's like, oh, this movie feels like one of those classic horror movies. It feels very old. It feels like it gets it. I'm not one of those people who are going to gas up classic horror movies and ignore all of their shortcomings. Because let's be honest, pretty much all of those classic horror movies don't hold up as well as you would think today. Even the ones it's like you look back on and remember fondly, it's like they have a lot of issues. So when I say this feels old, though, I mean that this movie does not feel like it was made in 2003. It feels like it was made in the 80s, except for obviously the quality of the camera and everything. Though the shot composition was not great, but the camera quality, it's like it's very clear this was not made in the 80s. Also, the deaths were a little too um well designed. Let's put it that way. They were well designed. They were there was good effects. Definitely better than 80s effects. But everything else about it, this feels like an 80s movie. And I don't entirely mean that negatively, but I don't entirely mean that positively either. It feels like it feels like it's out of time. Like this movie, when I say it feels like it's from the 80s, I mean it feels like how would you make a movie like this outside of the 80s in terms of the plot, the style, the way the way the progression of the story goes. It's like we moved beyond that. 90s horror movies, even like just simple slashers like this, 2000s horror movies like have moved beyond this kind of style. This doesn't feel like a 2000s movie. Like it literally just does not feel like that. And I don't know if the director and the rest of the crew and everyone were trying to get this like classic feel. I don't know if that was their intent. But it feels outdated because of it. The movie feels like, oh, we've seen this movie a million times. Why is a movie like this coming out in 2003? Like, even if this were 90s, why is this a movie like this coming out in the 90s? That's still outdated. It feels like a crew from the 2000s, a director, producers, everyone from the 2000s worked together to make a movie But outside of camera work and like effects, they did nothing to make it feel like a modern movie. Instead, they wanted it to feel exactly like a 80s film. Again, in terms of plot, in terms of characters, in terms of who the villains are and everything. It's like it just feels super outdated. And that also goes for how the characters are written and everything. None of the main characters have any depth to them. They tried to give oh god, what is her name? Um I still should have the page up. Let me check. Da, 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 da. Jesse. They try to give Jesse a little bit of depth and character way too late into the film by having it be revealed that she was just like broken up with by her boyfriend, and the entire purpose of their trip was her being taken out by the rest of her friends in order to get away from all of that. It's like that would have been a nice character motivation, nice story and everything if we learned about that earlier. Let's say we learned about that when Chris first met them. That would have felt a lot more natural at that point. Like, and you might be thinking, oh, why would she have told him at that point? Why would she have told him something like that, something personal like that, at that time when she barely knew him? It's like, why was she telling him when she did? That was out of time. That was out of place. That didn't fit at that time. There was no reason for her to tell him that story then. That argument's invalid. Then there was never going to be a right time to introduce that otherwise. There was just never going to be a right time for something like that. It would feel out of place no matter where you put it. It's just within the scope of this story and how it was being told, it's just it wouldn't have fit any which way. Um, but yeah, it's like none of these characters. It's like I really care about. It's like Chris is kind of painted as like the main character. Yet apparently, from what I saw on the Wikipedia thing, the cover of the movie shows Jesse. And with her big backstory thing at the end, she's kind of painted as if she's supposed to be a main character. But until names are escaping me. Give me a second. But until Carly, that's her name. But until Carly dies, Jesse feels like the least important and most expendable of the group. Like, this is supposed to be like one of your main characters. She's literally on the cover, and this is who, like, it's so poorly done. Now there's these opening credits that kind of like show like I guess backstory stuff for like the um the bad guys, the cannibal family. It like gives some like look into that and all. I don't like when movies do that. It's like if you're going to like explain this cannibal family, don't do it that way. Just don't do it that way. If you're going to explain them, I would rather have a character exposit shit. Because it's like the opening credits are going, I'm not really paying attention to that. Because I don't think I'm supposed to be. And I'm not going to rewind it to try and pay attention to it. I would rather have some character come out and say, like, oh, I heard about this. There's this story of these cannibals, these people living in the woods and everything. I didn't think it was real. I would rather have that. It would feel more natural and it feel like a better way to actually explain things. Also, a better way to explain things where it's like, you know, you'll actually get to hear it, the explanation. I'm just kind of disappointed in how a lot of this just didn't feel right for the time this came out. And even without knowing that originally, it's like even just watching this, seeing again how well it's shot and animated outside of, just having really random terrible like wide shots of the entire area around them. Um it's like just watching this you can tell it's like newer ish made, and it's just like it feels off. It feels like it's like not quite clicking properly, even without knowing at the time what the year that this came out was, because it feels disconnected between the visuals and the actual movie. But yeah, it's like it's interesting that like um the least or the most expendable seeming character from what we could see watching this ends up being one of the most important characters and one of the survivors. Yet characters who did seem more important, like the couple, where you think at least one of them is going to survive, both of them end up dying. It's just like it's another issue with the writing, I feel, where it's like, oh, did you not know how to make it clear who was important and who was not here? Also, I mentioned this in the reaction, but I'm not the biggest fan of the entire disfigured monstrous mountain people trope when it comes to these horror movie villains. I talked about like thinking like, oh, was that started with stuff like Texas Chainsaw and all, or was that a thing before that? I'm not 100% on that, because the first Texas Chainsaw came out like in the 70s. But I've never been a huge fan of that trope. It's overdone, for one, and for two, on top of just being done to death, it's also just not very good. It's just not a good trope. One of the big things about it is it feels like not the greatest in terms of, feeling a little insulting. Like, do like what about people who have actual facial deformities for one reason or another? We're just gonna paint them constantly as monsters because we don't see them as anything more than that. It's like, is that like, even if that's not the intent, that's kind of what it comes across as. It's like when you put a gay character in a movie or series or something, and they're just a blatant stereotype the entire time. It's like, yeah, people like that absolutely exist, but not every queer person is like that. In fact, most aren't. So it's just, it feels like an insulting stereotyping of a portrayal rather than a real genuine attempt at representation. And for again a horror movie like this where it's like your main villains are these kinds of people, it's like that's just that just feels insulting. It's like I luckily thankfully don't have any facial deformities, but I've seen people who do, who live normal lives, whether it's like they were mauled by an animal or have some kind of like condition, or whatever the case. It doesn't really matter. I've seen people on TikTok who have facial deformities and put out just, standard TikTok videos because they're normal people and not like some caricature or anything. And even if this kind of trope was based off of like real life situations that have happened, with inbreeding and whatnot, and all of that jazz that it talked about in the opening credits. It's like, even with all of that possibly being real, it's like that doesn't mean that every person who has facial deformities are like that. And we shouldn't like make that a norm. That really shouldn't be a norm. And unfortunately, it was made into a norm when it comes to horror films. It's just something that irritates me. It's like, it's not the biggest issue. Obviously, a lot of horror films have much bigger problems. But it's still just like, you didn't need to do that. Like, you could have just had them be ugly, like the gas station guy. You didn't need to make them, like, fully deformed and, just stereotypes, basically. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing. Most people probably don't even think much about it, but it's like, it irritates me a little bit, at least. anyway, anyway, I can see like there's a setup with the credit scene and everything for the sequel, but it's like, if only one of them survived, then what the hell is the sequel? Like, is the sequel just gonna focus on that one? Trying to get revenge or something? Or trying to, like, just start a new murder family? I don't know. Or is it going to somehow bring back the other two as well? In which case, that's fucking stupid. Because it's like, you're gonna try... Okay, you can maybe make me believe that one of them survived, but more than one of them? No. You're not gonna make me believe that. It's just ridiculous. But I want to make clear here. I've seen worse movies, and I've found movies that I very much dislike just generally much more than this. This movie isn't like offensively bad or anything. It's not like really aggressively terrible. It's just kind of out of place, like I said. It's out of place for the time period it was made in and released in. It's out of place just for its writing and characterization and stuff, and it just doesn't work. I think that's the best way to put it for me. It doesn't quite work. Now, I don't know if the sequels will do things better, but this movie a little bit disappointing. If for no other reason than it was just like not the best in regards to how it portrayed its villains and characters and how to tell who was actually important or not. Like, seriously, Carly came off as so much more important than Jesse, and we're supposed to believe that Jesse is like one of the most important, most plot armor characters in the movie. What? It's just, I don't get it. But that's just me. That's just me. Just because I didn't get it or didn't like it as much doesn't mean you can't. If you really enjoyed this movie, that's, as always, all good. It's all subjective. It's all opinion. No worries there. But I do want to also apologize for the issues we had. We'd had issues like yesterday when recording stuff. Again, you're seeing this on Saturday, but when I say yesterday, I mean Thursday. Or, I mean, Wednesday, actually. Today is Thursday. When I was recording the stuff on Wednesday, we had some issues as well. And I don't know, like, why these issues are happening, but they are. And it's definitely gotten a little more annoying today with VLC and OBS shutting down. This obviously isn't my fault. I mean, I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting here watching and reacting, and then it just all shuts down. And it's like, I am so happy it at least saved the file that it was currently recording so I can combine it. Even though that sucks that I have to, like, combine it and raise the file size and everything, but don't really have a choice in the matter. But at least it saved it, so the movie reaction wasn't lost or anything. But yeah, it was enjoyable nonetheless. I definitely had some fun with watching it, which is why I say it's not like the worst movie or anything that I've seen. Because at least I had a little bit of fun watching it, even if it was just because of how stupid it was. Um, yeah, it's a pretty interesting first film, and just makes me really wonder how more of these are gonna happen. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, I want to remind you all that there's a lot of great content to check out on the channel. Every Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Monday, we also have YouTube reactions, or YouTube adjacent. Anything that doesn't quite fit into a normal series or movie reaction. And speaking of movie reactions, we have those every Saturday and Sunday. They're just like this one. They're recorded during the week but uploaded on the weekend, just so that every day has something going on for it. We are also currently going through a couple different Let's Plays. We have Spider-Man 2 on the PS5 every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And we have Anno Mutationum every Saturday. As a reminder, Anno Mutationum is a donation reward Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez. And if you want to know how to donate for a Let's Play in the future on the PS5 and all that, there's a couple videos to check out. The most notable, though, would be the one that says PS5 game reward, and also on the same video says June double reward month. So look for a video that says both of those things. You can just do a quick channel search and you should find it with ease. But all of that being said, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.